Distinguished Rosh Yeshiva, Rabbanim, Siyum Hashas, ladies, gentlemen, students, and children. Shechiyanu, v'kiyimanu, v'giyanu lazman hazeh. It is an incredible feeling to stand before you at this glorious event on this magnificent day on a stage with these distinguished South Florida Rabbanim after months and months of planning this very moment. Our program this morning promises to be inspirational, emotional, festive, and joyous. I want to thank Rav Yisrael Meir Druk Shlita, who flew in from Yerushalayim Yer HaKodesh to join us this morning to share Divrei Bracha, along with a message from his Chavrusa, Morenu V'Rabbeinu Harav Chaim Kanievsky Shlita. I would also like to thank Rabbi Ephraim Goldberg and Rabbi Ephraim Shapiro, who both turned down multiple other invitations around the globe to join their South Florida community this morning and to inspire us with their words and message. I would like to thank my good friend Simcha Leiner for joining us and adding to our festivities today. I would like to thank the Rabbanim of the various communities from North, South, and right here in Boca, especially the Century Village communities, for promoting and supporting today's program. Yasher Kochachem. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge our sponsors who are listed on the back of your programs and on the scroll of honor to my left. A very special thank you to Tzvi and Carolyn Schwartzman for their incredible generosity in turning our vision into a reality today. I would also like to thank all the security officers and Palm Beach Sheriff Department who gave up their New Year's Day to secure us here. Thank you so much. An event of this magnitude requires a special team to put this all together. A team strictly comprised of volunteers who invested endless hours to create everything you are to experience here today. We all owe a tremendous Hakaras Hatov to the lay leadership and administrative staff of Hadar High School for their vision, effort, and execution of today's program and event. A special thank you to my co-chairs, Rabbi Dr. Avi Oppenheimer and Dr. Daniel Robin, and to all the volunteers who spent endless hours yesterday moving chairs, water bottles, signage, and everything else from 7:30 in the morning to midnight. Thank you. If I may be so bold to take a moment to address my wife and children who have put up with my not being home on a nightly basis for the past 4 weeks, I hope that today brings you a sliver of the endless nachas that you bring me on a daily basis. There is one true inspiration behind today's gathering, celebrating the 13th cycle of the Daf Yomi Siyum Hashas, and that is my dear Chaver, Rabbi Dr. Brian Galbert, Zichrono Livracha. I have no doubt that Brian would have been here today, taking pride in such an event here in South Florida. Brian was a community guy who worked tirelessly to unite people, inspire people, and grow Torah in our community. And that was our vision for today. Daf Yomi has a tremendous power of uniting two Jews from opposite ends of the globe who are literally on the same page each and every day. The Torah was given ki ish echad b'lev echad, and through Torah we have the ability to connect to one another on the deepest of levels. Look around the diverse gathering we have here today, and you can see firsthand the power of Torah and the Daf Yomi movement. As many people who are here already and will be coming, and as diverse a crowd, I know that if Brian was running this event, the crowd would have been twice as large and even more diverse. Brian possessed a special, unique ability to unite Jews from all walks of life, and he did that through Torah and his incredible character. Brian learned the Daf and completed Shas multiple times. Today, he too would have been making a Siyum. And in his chus, many are making a Siyum for their first time today, or are well on their way to completing Shas in the near future. It is my bracha that we continue to learn from Brian, grow and unite as a community, be inspired by our Rabbanim and through our learning, and focus on that which links us and not that which divides us. In the schus of this gathering and the inspiration we find here today, may the neshama of our dear friend Baruch Tzvi ben Ruven Nasson have an aliyah in Shemayim. Mazel tov to everyone who is celebrating their Siyum today, and thank you everyone for joining us. I now call upon Mr. Ari Pearl to introduce our next speaker.
Thank you, Donnie. Donnie, I cannot thank you enough on behalf of all of us here today. We owe you a tremendous, tremendous hakaras hatov. Bereshus Rabbanim, my dear friends of South Florida and beyond, and the tens of thousands of people that have learned for this Siyum around the world. Baruch Shechiyanu v'gimanu v'giyanu lazman hazeh. I want to borrow some ideas from someone that I believe we all owe a tremendous debt of gratitude to. A great friend of Daf Yomi, a major supporter of Torah around the world, and a man instrumental in the existence of our kollel in Hollywood, Florida. Shlomo Yehuda Rechnitz shared this idea in his opening remarks at the last Siyum Hashas 7 years ago in MetLife Stadium. We gather here today, many of us coming from different places, growing up with different minhagim and different levels of observance. We went to different yeshivas. We have different rabbeim and rabbanim. But today, we gather together for one common purpose, Kavod HaTorah. When I think of the essence of Kavod HaTorah and the Daf Yomi, I don't have to go much further than to think about my Rebbe, Hagon Rav Yisrael Meir Druk. Rav Druk is a true example of what it means to be Moser Nefesh for Kavod HaTorah on a daily basis in every way imaginable. His entire life and being revolves around Kavod HaTorah in the most humble way. The Rav can be seen walking through the Kotel Plaza to begin his day every morning at 4:30 a.m., where he gives the Daf Yomi shir. The balance of most of his days and nights are spent giving shiurim, writing svarim, and making sure the needs are met for the thousands of Talmidim and their families that are part of his Tiferes Yisrael yeshiva system. When we speak of Kavod HaTorah, there is no greater example that I know of today than the relationship that Rav Druk has with his Rebbe and Chavrusa, Harav Hagon Rav Chaim Kanievsky Shlita. Rav Druk travels many times a week from Yerushalayim to Bnei Brak, every week, to learn with his Rebbe and to tend to his needs. Rav Chaim has recently called upon Rav Druk to represent him and convey some of the most important messages to Jews in Eretz Yisrael. Today, Rav Druk will deliver his own message to us, as well as a message of bracha from Rav Chaim. Without further ado, it is an honor and a privilege to introduce the Rosh Yeshiva of Tiferes Yisrael, Rav Yisrael Meir Druk.
ברשות, אני כבר מתנצל שאני מדבר בלושן הקודש. ברשות רבוני הקהילס של פלורידה, ברשות העוסקים בצורכי ציבור, דני כהן וכל העוזרים, זה היום עושו השם נוגילו ונשמחו בוי. הגמרא במסכת שבת דף קי"ח עמוד ב' אומרת הגמרא שאביי אמר לקוחזינה צור ומרבונון, בקושו לי מסכתה, כשאני רואה תלמיד שמסיים מסכתה, אביני יוימי טוי ולרבונון, אז אני עושה סעודה גדולה לרבונון, לתלמידי חכמים. אומר המרשור דבר מעניין, הוא לא דיבר עכשיו על תלמידי חכמים שסיימו מסכת, אלא אם אני ראיתי צור ומרבונון, צור ומרבונון זה תלמיד שמסיים מסכת, אז אני לא עושה סיום רק לתלמידים, אביני יוימי טוי ולרבונון, אני עושה סיום לכל התלמידי חכמים, כדי ללמד אותנו שכל יהודי שמסיים מסכת, לא רק אנשים גדולים, לא רק תלמידי חכמים גדולים, אלא גם צור וגם תלמיד, גם יהודי בלבד שמגיע בלילה ללמוד שעה אחת ללמוד תורה, והוא מסיים מסכת, אביני יוימי טויבה. למי זה יוימי טויבה? למי זה נהיה יום טוב? למי זה נהיה סעודת מצווה? לרבונון, לכל התלמידי חכמים זה נהיה סעודה גדולה, זה נהיה יום טוב לכולם, כי כל יהודי שיושב ולומד הוא מחזיק ומקיים את העולם, ורבונון שמחים בזה. אני עוד מעט יקריא לכם מכתב ממוירי ורבי מורון רב חיים קייבסקי, תראו איך שהוא מתבטא, איזה שמחה גדולה יש לו שיהודים בפלורידה סיימו את הש"ס, שמחה גדולה מאוד. אז אביני יוימי טוי ולרבונון, גם התלמידי חכמים שבארץ ישראל גדולי הדור שמחים בשמחה שיהודי ארצות הברית מסיימים את הש"ס. דעו לכם, לא רק שאנחנו שמחים, לא רק שרבונון שמחים, כל התלמידי חכמים שמחים, אלא התורה שמחה, שמחה סטוירו. מה הכוונה שמחה סטוירו? התורה שמחה שסיימו אותה, יש שמחה בשמיים גדולה מאוד, עד כדי שהים ששלימי חשב שצריכים לברך השמחה במאוינוי. שמחה במאוינוי הכוונה היא אחד מהשמיים, אחד מהריקים נקראים מעון, והקדוש ברוך הוא שמח במעון הזה, יש לו שמחה גדולה, התורה שמחה. זה יום גדול מאוד, זה יום מסוגל מאוד, זה יום שמח מאוד, זה מה שמקיים את העולם, ולכן השמחה היא שמחה גדולה מאוד. אני רוצה לומר לכם מה שהחז"ל מספרים במדרש שיר השירים. רבי יוחנן הלך פעם עם רב חייא, הם הסתובבו ביחד, ורבי יוחנן מראה לרב חייא, אתה רואה את הכרם הזאת, היה לו כרם גדול, כרם זה של ענבים, כל זה היה שלי, ומכרתי את זה בשביל ללמוד תורה. אחרי זה הוא הולך לבית זית, איפה שיש זיתים, משהו הרבה דונם, אומר לו, אתה רואה את כל זה? זה היה שלי, מכרתי את זה בשביל תורה. אחרי זה הוא הלך לבית חקלה, לבית תבואות, אמר לו, אתה רואה את כל זה? כל זה היה שלי, מכרתי את זה בשביל תורה. בחר רבי חייא ואמר לו, מכרת הכל? אמר לו רבי יוחנן, מה הבעיה? מכרתי דבר שברור בששת ימי בראשיס, וקניתי דבר של 40 יום ו40 לילה, תורה, היו צריכים 40 יום ו40 לילה שמוישה יעלה לשמיים כדי ללמוד את התורה. עד כאן אומר המדרש, מי ייתן איש אסכול בייסוי באהבו שאוהב רבי יוחנן עשה תורה. ואני רוצה לשאול אתכם, רב חייא היה מוירה, הוא לא היה מוכר את הכל בשביל תורה? רב חייא היה מוירה, הוא בטח היה מוכר את הכל בשביל תורה. אז מה קרה כאן? התשובה היא פשוטה מאוד. רב חייא בכה כי הוא ראה כמה הקריב רבי יוחנן בשביל תורה. רבי יוחנן הסביר לו, לא מכרתי, לא הקרבתי כלום. זה לא הקרבה, זה good business. זה הביזנס הכי טובה, כי טוב סחו. זה המסחר הכי טוב. מכרתי דבר של 16 ימי בראשיס, וקניתי דבר שקונים את זה ב40 יום ו40 לילו. זה good business, זה good deal. אין דיל יותר טוב מזה. אוי רך יומי בימינו בשמאלו איש וכובוי. אשריכם, אשריכם אנשי פלורידה שסיימתם את הש"ס. וכאן ההזדמנות בסיום הזה, הזדמנות לכל מי שלא קיבל על עצמו. כל אחד מסוגל, כל אחד יכול, כל אחד צריך לקבל על עצמו מעכשיו, שבעוד 7 שנים בעזרת השם נסיים עוד פעם את הש"ס כולכם ביחד בשמחה וטוב לבו. אקריא עכשיו את המכתב שמוירי ורבי מורה דקולה תלמודה רבון שכל בני הגוי לו רב חיים קניבסקי. את המכתב הוא כתב בחנוכה, חנוכה תש"פ, בסייעתא דשמיא. לידידיי ויקיריי החשובים והנכבודים, בני הקהילויס הקדושוס בפלורידה, אשר באמריקה. אחרי דרך מבוי החיים והשלום קוראוי. יום שמחה וחג לכם ולנו על סיום הש"ס שאינכם חוגגים לגויים ראש של תוירו. ואכן שמחו גדולו ועצומוי. ואף בכל סיום מסכתה איסה בשבס קי"ח עמוד בייז אביד ניוי מטויבה לרבונון, קל וחומר שמדובר בכל תלמוד בבלי, אשר זהו יסוד תוירו שבעל פה, שלא יקורס הקדוש ברוך הוא בריס עם ישראל, אלו על תוירו שבעל פה. לכן שמח אני על השמחה הגדולו של לימוד הש"ס שזכיתם ללמוד, ואין ספק שבהשפעת הלימוד משפיע טויבו וברוכו על כל אלוהים למשום ועל כלל ישראל. ומקרב לב, זה הברכה של רב חיים, אבורכם שתזכו ללמוד וללמד לשמוע ולעשויס ולסיים עוד הרבה פעמים עם ש"ס וספורים אחרים מתוך החוב הסדס ונחס מכל יועצך על יועציכם וישרבק כבוד שמיים מעל ידכם ואשרי חלקכם בו זהו בבו. ברכה מיוחדת לאויסה ומעשה במצווה הגדולה הזויס הרב רב דניאל יודו בן רוחל הכהן. כאן מופיע השם של רב חיים קניבסקי. מזל טוב, מזל טוב.
We now call upon Rabbi Reuven Feinberg, the Dean of the Torah Academy of Boca Raton, to say Perek Chaf Chaf Aleph of Tehillim on behalf of Chole Yisrael for the safety and security of Klal Yisrael. We ask that you have in mind Idol ben Frida for a refuah.
Shir lamalos, esoy na el horim, me'ayin yovo Ezri. Ezri me'yim adinoi, ose shamayim v'aretz. Al yitain lamot raglecha, al yonum shomrecha. Hinei lo yonum v'lo yishan, shomer Yisroel. Adonai shomrecha, Adonai tzilcha al yad yaminecha. Yomam hashemesh lo yakeka, v'yareach balayla. Adonai yishmarcha mikol ra, yishmar es nafshecha. Adonai yishmor tzeischa voyecha, me'ata v'ad olam.
And we now call upon Rabbi Moshe Shaket, the head of school at Hadar High School for Girls, to lead us in Parak Kuf Lamed on behalf of Eretz Yisrael.
Shamalos mama kim krosicha Adonai. Adonai shema v'koli tienes nechek hashuvos kol tachanunai. Im avonos tishmor ya Adonai mi amor. Kim chaslicha leman tivarei. Kivis Adonai kivsa nafshi v'lidvaro hochalti. Nafshi Adonai mishomrim laboker, shomerim laboker. Yachel Yisrael el Adonai, kim Adonai chesed v'arbei mofidus. Hu yivdes Yisrael mikol avonosav.
We now call upon Rabbi Ephraim Goldberg, Morid Asra of the Boca Raton Synagogue, to lead us in a dedication and tribute to Brian Galbit, Zichrono Livracha.
Hodu Lashem Kitov, Kili Olam Chasto. What a magnificent venue, what a beautiful day, and what a momentous occasion. Today is special not only because we join Jews around the world, celebrating the completion of the 13th cycle of Daf Yomi, but today is incredibly special because we, the South Florida Jewish community, join together. Diverse shuls and yeshivas and schools, diverse backgrounds and ages and perspectives, but all gathered here together for one reason, one purpose, for that which has always united us and for that which will continue to bind us together forever. And that is the centrality of Torah in our lives. Firstly, I want to echo the thanks to all those volunteers who work tirelessly to make this extraordinary event the success it is. The committee, the volunteers, those who've been working for months and those who showed up today. And of course, an enormous debt of gratitude to the vision behind the Siyum, a man who's been working tirelessly from the beginning until today. Thank you, Donnie, for all of your leadership and hard work. I want to acknowledge and thank my dear friends, Rabbi Seth and Esther Grossman, who not only so generously sponsored the Siyum dedication this morning, but who themselves model a powerful commitment to Torah learning and Torah living on a regular basis. Thank you. It's truly a great honor to have Harav Druk Shlita with us, bringing the Kedusha, the Avira, a connection with Eretz Yisrael. It makes this morning all the more special, and we're so grateful the Rav is here. It's also a great privilege, a special opportunity to hear and to be able to share the podium with my dear friend, Rav Ephraim Shapiro. Very much looking forward to his words this morning. B'shus the Rabbanim Chashuvim, my dear and beloved colleagues who are gathered here today. When Rav Meir Shapiro, Zecher Tzadik V'Kodesh Livracha, the founder of the Daf Yomi, was only 7 years old. In his home one day, he found his mother as she was sobbing. His mother was crying, and as a 7-year-old sees his mother crying, he asked her why. She turned to her young son and she said, "I'm terribly sad because your Malamed, your teacher, he was scheduled to come today, but he didn't show up." So the young boy didn't understand. What's the big deal? He came yesterday, he'll come tomorrow. So he wasn't here today. So Rav Shapiro's mother said to him, Merla, you're too young to understand, but I want you to know. And I want you to forever remember that if you miss a day of learning, it can never be replaced. It can never be made up. And that's why I'm crying, because your Malamed didn't show. Rav Meir Shapiro's mother understood something so fundamental, so basic and so core to our people, from when we stood at the base of Har Sinai until today and in perpetuity. That Kihem Chayenu v'orech Yameinu. That Torah is not just information, it's not a set of facts or laws, it's not a collection of our history. That Torah learning is not just a way of life, it is life. It's what provides life and sustains life and nourishes life, and that without it, we simply cannot live. Rav Meir Shapiro's mother's tears left an indelible impression on her young son. And when the opportunity presented itself, he introduced a system and initiative which would ensure that we would never miss a day of learning in our lives. Do you know it's estimated today that there are more than 300,000 people around the world who learn the Daf Yomi daily? Rav Meir Shapiro and his wife didn't have biological children. They didn't have children of their own, but make no mistake, every Blat Gemara learned is their continuity and legacy. Every member of the Daf, his progeny. Now, much of the credit for the Daf Yomi, for the countless who learn it daily, for the tens of millions of pages of Gemara learned in the last 7.5 years, much of that credit goes to his mother. She and Jewish women since then have inspired, supported, promoted, and sacrificed to ensure that a day of Torah learning is never missed. And they too are heroes of the Daf, who deserve our recognition and appreciation this morning. Kihem chayenu va'orech yameinu. In the golden age of the Jewish people, Torah informed and inspired our every move. And in some of the darkest periods and the bleakest moments of our history, Torah learning is not only what gave us courage, faith, and hope, but Torah learning literally gave us life. My dear friend and colleague, Rabbi Moshe Hauer, shared a story that his own father, Zechron Livracha, only told him at the end of his life. During the war, Rabbi Hauer's father was exiled with Jews from Romania to a place called Transnistria, which is in the Ukraine. They were forced into slave labor. They lived in miserable and meek conditions. And during that time, though he was young, Rabbi Hauer's father had the privilege to study Torah daily with Rav Yosef Naftali Stern Zatzal, a true Gadol B'Yisrael who would end up surviving, moving to Israel, being a member of the Moetzes Gedolei HaTorah of Israel. His father shared that often, when they finished studying, the great Rav, the great Talmid Chacham, would turn to the young boy and he'd say, "Close your Gemara. It's time to go home for supper." And then he saw the look on the boy's face. And he'd say, "Tell me, do you have anything at home to eat for supper?" And regularly, invariably, the young boy would say, "No, not really. There's nothing to eat." So in those dark and bleak days, in the horror of Transnistria and the Ukraine, Rav Stern would open up the Gemara and say to the young boy, "Let's have another Blat Gemara for supper." And they would continue learning. And all those years later, Rav Hauer's father told him, it was those extra Blat, it was that continued Torah learning that sustained him and nourished him and that enabled him to survive through those dark days. In the 5th parak of the Tanya, the Alter Rebbe writes, HaTorah hi hamazon l'neshamo she'asku ba'olam hazeh b'Torah l'shma. Torah is literally the nourishment for the souls of those who learn it sincerely. HaMitzvos heim levushim levad. Mitzvahs are the garments. They enable us to make contact externally with the divine. VaTorah hi hamazon v'gam halavush. But Torah is the food we ingest spiritually. We ingest it, we digest it, it becomes absorbed by us, part of us. It informs us, inspires us. It enables us not only to make contact with the divine, but to be of one mind with the divine, to be connected and integrated with the Ribono Shel Olam as one. When we learn Torah, we're feeding our soul. We're hydrating our spirit. Ki hem chayenu v'orech yameinu. Today, we're going to recite the Hadran from a very special Gemara. The Nazis, Yimach Shemam v'Zechrom, had stolen and looted and burned all the Sfarim belonging to German Jews. And when the war ended, there was not one complete set of Shas that could be found in Western Europe. Rabbi Samuel Sneag and Rabbi Samuel Rose, both survivors of Dachau, had an idea to print an entire full set of Shas while yet in Germany. They printed 50 sets of what became known as the Survivors' Talmud. They used the Nazi printing presses, the printing machines the Nazis had used to promote and spread their own propaganda. Those same printing machines became the vehicle and instrument to produce full-size sets of Shas. The survivors in the DP camps, they were starving for food. But do you know that many were also starving to feed their souls, desperate to return to learning the Daf Yomi, a cycle of learning that was interrupted? And now today, almost 75 years later, as we once again rise, as we once again face a rise of those who want to harm us, as once again we confront heinous attacks by those who want to eliminate us, we together here in South Florida will celebrate the completion of Shas with a statement of defiance, a triumph over our enemies, with the Siyum and the Hadran that will be recited from one of the volumes of a survivor's Talmud, printed on those printing presses in Germany. We will declare that Netzach Yisrael lo yishaker. We will read the Hadran from a volume that was studied by those who weighed next to nothing, who had lost next to everything. A testament of our immortality and to the central role that Torah plays in sustaining us. Because kihem chayenu v'orech yameinu. When we read that Hadran, when we read that volume, we will proudly declare Hadran Allah. We will return to you. No matter what, no matter when, Hadran Allah, we will be back. Some will try lashkicham Torasecha to cause us to forget you, our sacred Torah. But have no fear, Hadran Allah, we will be back. Others will burn you and destroy you. But Hadran Allah, we will be back. And yet others, as recently as to this week, will try to destroy shuls in Harnof and Pittsburgh and Poway and Muncie. But Hadran Allah, we will keep coming back because nothing can keep us away from you, our sacred Torah. This is our mission as Jews. It's core to who we are. It's essential to our mandate and why we're here. Hadran Allah, no matter when, no matter where, we will be back. In davening we recite Shekein Chovas Kol Yetzurim, that we have an obligation, lahader, to approach our Yiddishkeit, our relationship with Hashem and our commitment to Torah with a passion, a dedication, a love, an affection. We are people of Hadar and of Hidr, a people of Hadran Allah. Lehader, we glorify Hashem by our commitment to come back again and again and again. No matter what happens in our history, no matter what happens in our personal lives, of Hadran Allah, our love of Torah never grows tired. Our love of Torah never ends. Hadran Allah, this love, lehader, to live a life of such passion that we can't part. A life of obsession with Torah. It's not just for Talmidei Chachamim and Yeshiva Bachrim, or those with a strong background, or those with brilliant minds. But the Torah HaKadosha is for every single one of us. Shulchan Aruch records that when the Torah is lifted for Hagbah, a person should make every effort to see the text of the Torah and to recite V'zos HaBracha. The Shulchan Aruch says the proper thing is to bow. The Arizal takes it a step further and encourages moving up close to be able to see the words of the Torah during Hagbah. But I saw a beautiful minhag that some have, not just to come up close and read any random words in the Torah during Hagbah, but a minhag to scan the column during Hagbah and find the letter that begins your name. When that Torah is raised, when the Torah is lifted for all to see, we find our letter. We see ourselves in the Torah. We bow, we point, and we proclaim, V'zos HaTorah. This Torah is for me. I can learn it. I have a portion in it. It speaks to me. That I too can tap into its timeless messages and inspiration. That it has something to say for my personal life. And it's waiting for me to have something to say about it. Ki hem chayenu v'orach yameinu. None of us can afford to be too busy, too distracted, have too much insecurity or too little interest in learning Torah. There's a letter in the Torah for every one of us. And the Jewish people are counting on it. It needs us and we need it, and nobody understood that better than the extraordinary person whom we dedicate this Siyum to today. When our dear friend, my Yedid Nefesh, Rabbi Dr. Brian Galbet Baruch Tzvi ben Ruvain Nasson, Zichrono Livracha, when he was diagnosed with a devastating brain tumor, he knew immediately that as important as any medicine, treatment, or therapy were for his health and well-being, it was his Torah learning and the learning of others in his merit that would give him life. Brian cherished the Daf Yomi, not when he got sick, long before. Brian learned the Daf at a high level. There's nothing wrong with using an art school or Mesivta, but Brian never took the easy way out. He insisted on using a regular Gemara, even if it meant breaking his teeth over a difficult sugya. He was found before the sun was even in the sky, learning the Daf with Rabbi Sugarman every morning. But Daf was only part of his rigorous learning schedule that included exploring topics that interested him, regularly preparing and delivering high-level chaburos in our community. The wear and tear on his Sfarim, the notes in their margins, and the underlines on their pages all testify to his hasmada, his incredible Torah diligence and commitment to learning, all while simultaneously earning a reputation as an outstanding physician, all while being one of the most hands-on fathers I've ever known. And when Brian got sick, the Daf in particular took on a special significance for him, not only for what it meant for himself, but it represented for him an opportunity. If he had to go through that horrific condition, then at least he could leverage it, he could exploit it to get others to learn in his merit. If he had to suffer, at least it could benefit others who might take on learning. As his illness progressed, understanding the Daf became harder and harder. But if you learned it with Brian, you'd never know, because he just kept smiling and laughing, even while he struggled. He was never fatigued and he was never defeated. He kept plugging away at the Daf until he literally, physically could no longer learn it anymore. And even then, because his family understood what the Daf meant to him, it continued to play in his ears. In anticipation of the Siyum in his memory, several people shared with me the experience of what it was like to have been recruited by him to learn the Daf. And I want to just share one of them with you this morning. A person said, quote, "I'll never forget the call. It was a Friday afternoon in July. I was driving home from work, and when I first saw the name on the caller ID, my jaw practically dropped. Brian Galbet. This was 2 weeks after he'd been diagnosed and undergone brain surgery. It's shocked to see that he was calling me now. I picked up the phone and I said hello, and after answering my "how are you doing" with his trademark, Baruch Hashem, feeling great, everything's great, he told me that he wanted a favor. You're smart, you're capable, you can learn. I was wondering if you could start learning Daf Yomi in my merit. I didn't hesitate, the person shares. Those few minutes literally changed my life. I started Daf Yomi the next day, and that learning, but most of all the source behind it, Brian putting himself out there to personally ask me to do it, it sparked something in me. Until then, I could check off every box as someone who was frum, but I wasn't connected in a serious way to learning or davening or with Hashem. Seeing how Brian immediately reacted to his illness, calling people like me, trying to get us to commit to learning, inspired me to reevaluate my life and to consider what I could do to be more like Brian, someone I'd always admired as a model of a true Eved Hashem. And the person concludes, there is literally no area of my life that has not improved because Brian picked up the phone and called me one July day and solicited that initial commitment. My Torah learning and davening are better qualitatively and quantitatively than they ever have been. We weren't close friends, and yet not a day goes by that I do not think about Brian for what he did for me with that one short phone call. I cherish his memory, and I will continue to learn Torah in his memory every single day. Rav Meir Shapiro's mother understood that Torah is vital to truly live each day. Rav Howard's father literally consumed Torah for dinner, sustaining him during the darkest times. The Holocaust survivors in the DP camps were starving for the daf, understanding it would restore their very lives. And our dear friend Brian Gaubit knew that if he could get others to learn Torah in his merit, it would not only extend his life, but it would give others real life too. Pachad Yitzchak, Rav Hutner shares, I close with this, a story from the Chidushei Arim of two Talmidei Chachamim who were dancing on Simchas Torah. One of them got tired before the other and needed to rest, and the Chidushei Arim was asked, how do you understand, how do you interpret why one stopped before the other? And the Ger Rebbe said, you see, one was dancing in celebration of the Torah he had already learned, and the other was dancing in anticipation of the Torah he was about to begin. The Torah of the past, said the Ger Rebbe, what we've already learned and finished, it has boundaries and limits, so you become exhausted and tired. But the Torah that's in front of us, it's limitless. And so when we honor it and when we celebrate it, we never run out of energy. Many here are marking the completion of Shas, an enormous accomplishment, and to you I say Mazel Tov. You should be benched, you should be blessed. Hashem could continue to grant you good health and energy and the wherewithal to continue to learn for many, many years to come. But those who finish Shas are only half the reason that we're here. We're also here to celebrate and honor those who are about to embark on the next journey. Whether of Daf Yomi, a cycle of 7.5 years, or any other area of Torah learning. If you're moved by this event and by this time to imbibe the sweetness of Torah, this celebration is for you. If you're determined to go forth from today in a more meaningful way, incorporate Torah study in your life, then the joy that you will feel and that we will dance soon has no bounds or limits, will never tire. You don't have to wait for Hagbah to find your place in the Torah. Make a plan today. Join the movement, the community who realize Kiyem Chayenu v'Orach Yameinu. It could be the Daf for Amud Shvui, it could be Mishnah or Tanakh, it could be listening to a Shira Chavrusa, but every one of us must nourish our souls by feeding them Torah. Anti-Semites, once again, are trying to destroy us. And we will fight them in the halls of Congress and the court of public opinion and with greater measures of safety and security, but ultimately we fight their plan to eliminate us by doubling down on our effort to have pride in our Jewish identity and to fulfill our Jewish mission. If they want to destroy us for being Jews, then we so proudly and more strongly express what it means to be a Jew, to be informed and inspired by Torah. We cannot and must not walk away from today without a resolution, a plan of how we will learn more, live more, and share more Torah with those around us. I implore you, do it for Klal Yisrael. Do it le'iloi nishmas Baruch Tzvi ben Ruvei Nassan. But most of all, do it for yourself. Thank you very much.
Today, we are celebrating learning Torah in our South Florida community and throughout the world. We do it with the greatest sense of achdus, Ki'ish echad b'lev echad. Continuing with some of the words of Rav Shlomo Yehuda, imagine the joy we are bringing to Rav Meir Shapiro and the Chavetz Chaim. Imagine the nachas that we are bringing to Rava and Abaya, Rav Ashi and Ravina, the Amoraim, the Rishonim, the Achronim, watching down as thousands are Messiahim from the Masechtas that they toiled on so diligently. The 6 million Kedoshim that we lost are looking down with immense pride as we rebuild their legacy. Imagine generation after generation, Churban after Churban. Their mission was to destroy that last blot of Gemara. Today, we have the ultimate revenge. Eitz Chaim hi lamacha zikim ba, v'somcha meushar. Hashem chafetz leman sitko, yagdil Torah v'yadir. In honor of today's Siyum, I present an original song composed and sung by my dear friend and a dear friend of all of us in South Florida, Simcha Leiner. Eitz Chaim.
Eitz Chaim hi lamachazikim bo b'simcha meushar. Eitz Chaim hi lamachazikim bo b'simcha meushar. Lamachazikim bo b'simcha meushar. Eitz Chaim hi lamachazikim bo b'simcha meushar. High Thank you very much.
We are privileged to have with us today someone who needs no introduction in our South Florida community. Rabbi Ephraim Shapiro, Rav of Congregation Shari Tefillah in North Miami Beach and a world-renowned darshan. Rabbi Shapiro has been literally traveling the globe over the last few weeks from Miami to Melbourne, sharing Divrei Hisorus with the Lomdei Daf Yomi. I would now like to call upon Rav Shapiro to deliver the keynote address in honor of the South Florida Siyum Hashas.
Bereshus all the Rabbanim Chashuvim and Bereshus Kol HaKohol HaKodesh Hazeh. To the few thousand of us that are here celebrating the South Florida Siyum Hashas in honor of the 13th Siyum of Daf Hayomi around the world, I think that the few thousand of us and all of the Rabbanim, it's been mentioned a few times, I'd like to reiterate it again. This is a tremendous, tremendous Lahagdil Tayrul Adira, and credit has to be given to the dozens, the hundreds who made it possible. Just for a moment, I want to single out, and we owe them a tremendous, tremendous Yasher Koyach, to Daniel Rabin, Avi Oppenheimer, and of course to Donnie Cohn. A number of years ago, before the Iron Curtain fell, there was a Gemara shir that was taking place clandestinely, and because the seats were at such a premium, there was an elderly man who really didn't understand the Gemara at all. And so some of the young people went over to him respectfully and asked if he could vacate the seat, because every seat was to just get another word of Gemara. And respectfully they said, since you don't really understand what it is that's being taught or learned, you don't know how to study, would you mind vacating your seat for one of us who know the Gemara? They asked respectfully, and he turned and said, look at these welts and gashes on my arm and here on my forehead. Let me tell you, young people, how I got them. Decades ago, in Russia, under Stalin, when there were two factions that were fighting terribly, we'll refer to them as the red and the white. One day I was minding my own business, sitting in an outdoor cafe, and I was just eating a breakfast. And all of a sudden, a group from the opposition walked in. And they saw those that they were opposed, and they started to pummel them with iron rods. And they came over to me, and they started to pummel me, and I held up my hands like this to save my life. And I looked at them, and I said, stop. I'm not one of them. I'm sitting here, but I'm not one of them. And they looked at me with steel in their eyes, and they said, buddy, if you sit with them, then you're part of them. And they continued to pummel me. And he looked at these young fellows a couple of decades later and said, I don't understand the Gemara. And I may not know the difference between Hillel and Shammai and Abaye and Rava, but one thing these welts on my arms taught me, if you sit with them, then you're part of them. And so no, I'm not vacating my seat. And I'd like the South Florida community, the few thousand of us here, the many who will be able to hear about today's event, to realize we're celebrating the Loimdei Daf Hayomi, the Magidei Shir. Perhaps the greatest credit has to go to the mothers, the wives, and the daughters who enable, facilitate, and encourage the learning. But the greatest takeaway from today's beautiful event for our South Florida Siyum Hashas is that if we sit with them, then we're part of them. The pride that I have to be able to stand here and to sit and be a part of such a gathering, what are we celebrating? When Rabbi Aaron Kotler Zechat Tzadik V'Kodesh Levracha was in London, he got up and he said the following words. There's a contradiction between the Gemara in Yuma and Nidarim. Why was the Beis Hamikdash destroyed? The Gemara in Yuma tells us because of popery of Averos. We didn't get along, Sinas Chinam, Lashon Hara. The Gemara in Nidarim says, based on the words Sha'ozvam Es Teirasi, the Ran explains in the name of the Rabbeinu Yaina, Shaloi Haisa Torah Chashuva Beineim Kol Kach, Torah was not that important to us. Frekter Baron, which is it? Answer me. Was the Beis Hamikdash destroyed because of a popery of Averos, or because Torah, Loi Haisa Chashuva Beineim Kol Kach, wasn't on our radar? And there a Baron gave the most powerful answer. Imagine a fellow is driving on the highway, and somehow his wife was able to contact him and told him, Chaim, you just won the multi-million-dollar lottery. And a moment later, somebody cuts him off. How does Chaim respond? Before he won the lottery, road rage, anger, perhaps words he shouldn't say. The rage is there. But my wife just told me I'm a multimillionaire. You think I'm going to get sidetracked and busy because you cut me off? You cut me off on the road. You think that's going to bother me? I won the lottery, says Reb Aaron. Why was the Beis Hamikdash, the Batei Migdash, destroyed? Because of the Gemara in Yuma, a popery of Averos. We were involved in Sinas Chinam, Lashon Hara. We didn't get along. There was bickering and jealousy. But why were we sidetracked with Averos? Why did we let he said, she said, they said, get to us? The underlying reason why we get sidetracked is because we don't feel with Torah like we won the lottery. But if we would truly feel, says Reb Aaron, we won the lottery, then we wouldn't get busy with the Averos, with the he said, she said, and allow it to sidetrack us with our mission in life. So why was the Beis Hamikdash destroyed? The Gemara in Yuma says because of Averos. But the underlying reason why the Averos allowed that they took us over, because we didn't feel like we won the lottery. Looking out here at South Florida, looking out at the 13th Siyum Hashas, where we're joining worldwide jury, one cannot help but feel we won the lottery. This is winning the lottery. From different backgrounds, Anoshim Chashuvim, Noshim Tzidkoniyos. Look at the children, Tinaikei Shel Beis Rabban, Meirai V'Rabaisai. We won the lottery. And when you have a life of Torah, as you heard earlier, it's the most meaningful nourishment to the soul. There's a well-known vart from the Telzer Rosh Hashiva Rav Gifter. Zecher Tzadik V'Kodesh Levracha. We know the famous Gemara with Rabbi Akiva and Papas ben Yehuda. A life without Torah is like a fish out of water. Why? Why like a fish out of water? If you mean like an animal that's not alive, why not pick another animal, a bird or a cat, that you cut off the oxygen supply? Why is life without Torah specifically like a fish out of water and not any other animal? Open up your hearts to what the Telzer Rosh Hashiva Zatzal tells us. You see, every other animal, when you cut off the oxygen supply, be it the bird, be it the cat, they're dead. We in South Florida might appreciate fishing a bit more than others. When you take that fish out of water, what happens when the fish is out of water? What does the fish look like? Lebedik, it never seems so alive and vivacious in its life. Yet if you could talk to the fish, you'd say, Mr. Fish, you're dead. Zokta Telzer Rosh Hashiva, a life without Torah, a life without celebrating a Daf Hayomi is like a fish out of water. You see, that fish thinks it's alive. I've never been so lebedik. We would tell the fish, buddy, you're dead. A person that doesn't live Torah, learn Torah, breathe Torah, revere Torah, support Torah, is literally like the fish out of water. But look what a great life I have. The person is dead. The only comparison to a life without Torah is a fish out of water. I look out at this gathering, as I've said already multiple times, from the viewpoint that I look. And we say a Shechiyanu and thank the Ribbono Shel Olam. We're sitting with them. We're part of them. We truly won the lottery. And perhaps most importantly, today's a celebration of life itself. There's a well-known story. Many say it happened with Rav Druk's Rebbe, the Rashke Bahag, our Gadol Hador, Reb Chaim, soll gesund und stark sein. Somebody came to Reb Chaim and asked him, you know, I live in a neighborhood that's not so affluent. I want to get a souped-up Lexus. Should I get it or not? Parenthetically, I can't imagine being in front of the Gadol Hador, and that's the best question you got. So he asked Reb Chaim, should I get the Lexus, or do I have to worry about Ayin Hara? And Reb Chaim looked at him and said, you made a Siyum Hashas? So he looked and says to Reb Chaim, Harav lo mevin. Imagine telling Reb Chaim, no, you didn't get my question. I didn't make a Siyum Hashas, aval ha'sheila sheli. Can I get the Lexus, or do I need to worry about an Ayin Hara? And Reb Chaim starts to pepper him with questions. You finish a Masechta well? No. There's one parak, you know, Shakla V'Tarya? No. You have a daily Chavrusa? No. You made on a Seder Mishayis Asiyim? No. Reb Chaim looks at the man and says, you could get the Lexus. You don't have to worry about Ayin Hara. Believe me, you don't have to worry about Ayin Hara. What's to be jealous of? What's to be jealous of is looking out at a South Florida Siyum Hashas, the likes of which was created by the names we mentioned earlier. Looking out at such a Siyum Hashas, we say, this is something that kinasai from Tarba Chachma. As Rabbi Goldberg just said so eloquently, you can't leave here without taking upon yourself, I'll join the daf, I'll join a shir, I'll make a chavrusa, I'll support more learning, and most importantly perhaps, I'll learn to revere our Gedalim. And so, looking out, the takeaway is, it is indeed something to be jealous of. Rabbi Sai, it is inexplicable. You heard mentioned earlier so many of the tragedies that happened recently. I've been talking a lot lately about the Har Nof massacre. More recently, I've been talking about what occurred to our brothers and sisters in Jersey City. Before that, we were talking about Pittsburgh. After that, we were talking about Poway. In the beginning of the week, what happened to a Yid Tzaddik Rav, the Kosener Rebbe in Muncie. In his shul, Baruch Hashem, B'chazdei Hashem, that all the people were saved. And that was a modern-day Hanukkah miracle. I ask you, how did it happen? The Gemara answers. The Gemara wants to know, Minayin l'tchias hamesim min ha-Torah. Literally, that means, where in the Torah do you see resurrection of the dead? And we know the famous answer from the Oz Yashir. Listen to a vart that I once heard. You punctuated it incorrectly. The question mark is after the third word. And the Gemara is asking, Minayin l'tchias hamesim. How do we know that the dead will be alive again? How do we know there's a real, tangible, pragmatic concept of tchias hamesim? You know what the answer is? Min ha-Torah. I look at the vivaciousness. I look at the vibrancy. I look at the power of Torah from South Florida and around the world. Minayin l'tchias hamesim. How do we know there's tchias hamesim? How do we know after a Poway and after a Har Nof and after a Pittsburgh and after a Jersey City and after attack in Muncie? How do we know Klal Yisrael bounces back better, stronger than before? Min ha-Torah. Because that's a life of Torah. We're alive. I know it's a very well-known story. It's worth repeating very quickly. The Telzer Rosh Hashiva, Rebbe Eliyahu Meir Bloch, was in a Sfarim store, they say on the Lower East Side, a bit after the war. And he said to the Meicher Sfarim, I want to buy a Ktsais. The main staple on a Gemara, Ktsais HaChayshen. The Meicher Sfarim takes it off a shelf, dusts it off lovingly, hands it to the Telzer Rosh Hashiva and says to Rebbe Eliyahu Meir, Rosh Hashiva, take good care of this Ktsais. It's the last Ktsais that will ever be sold in America. Take a look since that day of the last Ktsais. How many tens of thousands of Ktsais HaChayshen have been sold? How many hundreds of thousands learning Daf HaYomi are learning the words of the Ktsais? Minayin l'tchias hamesim. Let the world hear these words clearly. How do you know Klal Yisrael is here to stay? How do you know that the dead come back better and there's a certain vivaciousness in life? Min ha-Torah, because the Torah is winning the lottery. The Torah says that if I'm sitting with these men and with these women and with the Tinaika Shel Bes Rabban, then please tell the Rebbeinu Shalom that I, Ephraim Shapiro, am part of you. Because this is a celebration of life. The Shulchan Aruch Harav brings down, there's a famous comment in Pirkei Avos, Kol ha-shecheach davar echad, if you forgot one thing from your learning, Kilo mischaya ben nafshu, it's as if you deserve to be put to death. Now, Rabbi Sai, everybody forgets something from learning. Maybe if you're learning Daf HaYomi, you don't even remember the Daf or the Perek you're in. Everybody forgets something. So they asked the Shulchan Aruch Harav, if forgetting is Keilu mischaya ben nafshu, I have an idea. Don't learn. Why should I learn? I'm so much better off. Why should I take the chance? Kilo mischaya ben nafsho. If I forget, it's like I'm dead. So I have a simple solution. Just don't learn. The Shulchan Aruch Harav looked at the man and wrote in his sefer, and the Olam should open up their hearts to these words, men, women, and kinderlach. If you learn and you forget, ki'ilu mischaya ben nafsho, it's as if. But if you don't learn, it's mischaya ben nafsho mamish. A person who doesn't learn, who doesn't celebrate a worldwide Siyum Hashas, a person who doesn't allow a shir, a chavrusa, a rav, a word of Torah in his life, that's not ki'ilu mischayev benafsho. That's mischayev benafshoy mamish. There's no life. And so I guess it would not be an understatement to say today is a celebration of sitting with each other. Today is a celebration where you and I, we and us, won the lottery. Today is a celebration of life. Today is a celebration where we unite with the world. When I had the schus to speak to have Druk Shlita, soll gesund und stark sein, the Akaras HaToiv we have to have that he came and joined us from Eretz Yisrael, as Rabbi Goldberg said, our connection to Eretz Yisrael. The Rav encouraged me to share. While there's many wonderful, wonderful advantages to learning Daf HaYomi, perhaps the one that must be mentioned, and I'll actually, with the Rav's permission, based on a Maral. Years ago in the times of the Gemara, they took a survey, if you will. Which pasuk is the number one pasuk that drives the Torah? Ben Zayma said, Shema Yisrael. Ben Nana said, V'yahavta l'reacha. Shimon ben Pazi said, Es hakeves echad taseh b'boker, ves hakeves hasheni taseh ben armayim. One in the morning, one in the afternoon. You know they took a vote. You think only today we vote? They voted then. Who won? The pasuk of Ben Zoyim Shema? The pasuk of Ben Nanas v'Ahavta? Or the pasuk of Shimon ben Pazi, Karban Tamid b'boker and Karban Tamid ba'erev? And after the voting, the one that won was not Shema, was not v'Ahavta, but bring a Karban Tamid twice a day. The Maral wonders, that's the Torah? That's the most important pasuk in the Torah? That's the engine that makes it go? So the Maral answers, Shema is our life. V'Ahavta is our life. But the engine of the Torah, Teves echad b'boker, keves hasheni ben arbayim, morning, afternoon, morning after night, day, week, month, year, 7.5 years later. Says the Maral, the reason that the greatest pasuk in the Torah is Karban Tamid represents a commitment to consistency. And I think that's what the Rav Shlita was referring to. I might be speaking to hundreds of Loimdei Daf HaYomi Magidei Shir. I might be speaking, as you heard, to those who didn't yet join, but Sunday morning Brachas Daf Beis are going to join, are going to win the lottery, are going to celebrate life itself. But one thing every Torah Jew knows, it's a commitment to consistency. That's the engine that drives the Torah. In fact, in a few minutes, I believe Rabbi Goldberg will make the Hadron. Does anybody wonder why he says those words? Hadron Aloch, Daten Aloch. What's the difference between Hadron Aloch and Daten Aloch? I recently heard from a Rav in Borough Park such a magnificent answer. The mother's going away for the night, and so she says to her child, I'll be back after the chasana. The child starts to cry, Ma, how do I know you're coming back after the chasana? How do I know you're not just leaving me with the babysitter? How do I know? The mother looks at the child and says, Yingala, how do you know? Do you have any idea when I'm at that chasana how much I'm thinking about you? How you're on my mind? How many times I speak to Tati and Daddy and ask how you're doing? How many times I phone the babysitter? You're always on my mind. That's how you know I'm coming back to you. In a few moments, we're going to turn to the Ribbono Shel Olam and say, Hadron Aloch. We're coming back to you, Brachos, Shabbos, Erevin, Baba Kama, Baba Metzia, Baba Basra. We're coming back. And how do you, Ribbono Shel Olam, know we're coming back? Because Daten Aloch, our das, is always on you. It's on learning. It's the one who comes home 10 o'clock at night and is dropping and says, but I didn't yet do the daf. It's the one who has to get up 4:45 in the morning before the sun rises and says, I'm starting my day with the daf. It's the men and women who are mamish moiser nefesh for 2,711 blot. Today, when you hear the words of the Hadron, turn to the Ribbono Shel Olam and say, Hadron Aloch, we're coming back. How do you know? Daten Aloch. We're always thinking about the daf, the learning, the shiurim, the rabbanim. It's always first and foremost in our mind. And if our das is on Torah, the Ribbono Shel Olam knows we are coming back. I just want to end with a Dvar Torah and a bracha. Where does all this leave us? Soon the Siyum Hashas is going to start the 14th cycle. What is the takeaway for us? I believe the answer is the words of Heilig Chsam Sofer, Zechusa Yagan Aleinu. The Chsam Sofer tells us, we know the famous Gemara at the end of Brachos, Talmidei Chachamim Marbim Shalom Ba'olam. Literally it means because they have such a Presenlichkeit and an Ibergegebenkeit and such a nice warm persona, they're Marbim Shalom. Open your hearts to a pshat like you never heard before from Heilig Chsam Sofer Zechusa Yagan Aleinu, Talmidei Chachamim Marbim Shalom Ba'olam. How? The Ribbono Shel Olam, since he created the world, it was predetermined. There is a volume of milchama in every generation. You like it or not, that's a given. Imagine my hands represent the amount in every generation. Whether you like it or not, it's going to happen. What's not predetermined is what type of milchama. Is it going to be the milchama of a Harnof and a Pittsburgh and a Poway and a Jersey City and a Muncie? Or is it going to be the milchama of Milchamta Shel Torah, a Bayan Rava, a Tzais, a Mishas Rabarin, a Rambam and a Ravid, a husband coming home 10 o'clock at night and doing the daf and getting up 4:30 in the morning to review? Because the more we use up the volume of milchama for Milchamta Shel Torah, I'll show you on my hands, it's predetermined this is the amount of milchama. But if we use milchama for our type, not their wicked type, Milchamta Shel Torah, Milchamta Shel Torah, Milchamta Shel Torah, Milchamta Shel Torah, Marbim Shalom Ba'olam, all that's left in the world is Shalom. Because there's no room for any other type of milchama. Please take upon ourselves today a magnificent day that we thank the Borei Olam. Please take upon ourselves today, the more we get involved, as I said twice, in learning Torah, in doing the daf, in revering Torah, in supporting our Gedolim, there will be no room left for those other stories, Rachmana Litzlan. Memela, today is a celebration of Marbim Shalom Ba'olam. I just on Shabbos heard a story. A man came over to me and said, let me tell you about my father. I just could stare at the man. I heard this firsthand from the son. His father was in Hungary. And as a result, we know the Nazis, as they went into Poland in 1939, didn't end our Hungary till about 5 years later. This Yid, originally from Sighet, the Hungarian army conscripted a lot of the Jews in part of a Jewish battalion and really gave them the most menial jobs. And this Yid in 1942 found himself Hungary, Austria, in the city of Bukovina on an Erev Shabbos, marching towards Russia. And on these trips through the village, the provinces, the Shtetl, he was able to see Jewish life still exists. A Rov, a Beis Medrash, children learning Torah. And then it happened. A few weeks later, when the Hungarian army needed to retreat, they started to backpedal and retrace their steps. Retreating from the Russian army, they found themselves in the same cities that they were a few weeks earlier. He went through those cities, but no longer was there any Torah. No longer was there any life. Decimated and destroyed. Friday morning, he finds himself in Bukovina. He remembered a few weeks ago what the Rav, the Beis Medrash, the shul, the learning looked like, and now was gone. As he's walking, he sees the market is still open. And then, much to his horror, please forgive me for saying it, he sees that the enemies had the market and the fair. They were selling potatoes, onions, prunes, but they didn't use shopping bags. They went to the Beis Medrash and took large Gemaras like we're about to make a Siyum with. And they put it by their stand. You want a pound of potatoes? They ripped out a page of the daf, of the Gemara. They rolled it into a cone and said, here are your potatoes. Here are your onions and your prunes. Using my Gemara, your Gemara. That's what they did to bury us. As so they thought. This man had his golden reserve, a Schaffhausen, a very elegant and expensive watch. He kept it so that he'd be able to survive what may. He needed the money. He kept the Schaffhausen. But there's something more important than a Schaffhausen. He took that elegant watch to somebody who realized, I can really give him a ride for his money, and he traded it only for a few dollars. The man gave up his watch, he gave up his golden reserve, but look what he got in return. He took the few dollars and he went over to one of the enemies selling. And he took prunes. Prunes, he said, for him was poisonous. An emaciated body, it could have killed him. But he didn't want the prunes. They ripped out a daf Gemara, rolled it in a cone and gave him the prunes. And when he was out of their sight, he emptied out the prunes. And he looked at that Gemara, and it was a Gemara, Brachos Daf Tes. Who will ever forget Brachos Daf Tes? He gave up his golden reserve. He gave up his Schaffhausen watch. He gave up the potential to have money to survive, but he had a daf Gemara. And he took that daf. And when he was subsequently sent from one camp to another, most notably Mauthausen, he kept it right here. He kept daf tes of brachos close to his heart. And until the day he died, that Yid, that Kadosh, had brachos daf tes close to his heart. That's always been our Mesiras Nefesh for a daf Gemara. Where's our brachos daf tes? You and you and you and you and you. What's going to be your brachos daf tes that's going to keep us alive, that makes us win the lottery, that people should be jealous of? What is your brachos daf tes? I give all of us the bracha of Reb Shlomo Hyman. V'raimamtanu mikol halashonos. Can any of you translate that? Exalted more than tongues? I don't know what that means. Reb Shlomo Hyman said, and with this I conclude, you know, Hashem gives you moments in your life that you could put into words. Oh, that dessert was succulent. That vacation was stunning. That home is beautiful. But the Ribbono Shel Olam gives you moments that you can't trivialize with words. Did you ever walk your first child down the chuppah and turn to your wife and say, that was splendid, want to try it again? Did you ever experience the birth of a healthy grandson and say, gee, that was great, want to try that? The Ribbono Shel Olam gives us moments in our life that are v'roimamtanu mikol halashonos, more exalted than any word, than any dictionary, than any thesaurus. The words simply don't exist. Today's event, our South Florida Siyum Hashas, is truly v'roimamtanu mikol halashonos. Don't put it into words. Don't trivialize. They don't exist. But when we talk to someone and want to describe what we experienced and will experience, we'll tell them, you know what I sat with? You know what I was a part of? V'roimamtanu mikol halashonos. More exalted and more dehoibin than any word. May it be the will of the Ribbono Shel Olam that we find our brachos daf tes. May it be the will of Kudsha Berichu that he look out at this kosher gathering of thousands and see that we're sitting with them, we're part of them. Let him see we truly feel we won the lottery. And maybe from today the Ribbono Shel Olam will say, Datan aloch, because you always think about me and my eternal Torah, Hadran aloch, I will return to you with the Geula Shalema, B'karov B'yameinu.
And now, Mechubed, Mr. Yaakov Lyons of Boca Raton, with the completion of Maseches Nida and Siyum Shas Bavli.
Avi, thank you very much. Donnie only told me I had a few minutes. We're running a little bit behind schedule. I wanted to start off by welcoming the Galbert family. Thank you. Thank you for all the sponsors that are here. And this should be for an Aliyas Neshama for a Baruch Tzvi Ben Ruven Nosson. As Brian would probably want me to do at this time, as we're finishing Shas, maybe everyone should take a moment and think of someone that needs a Yeshua, somebody that needs a refuah, and say their names before we finish the Shas. I want to start off by thanking Donnie and Frida. Let's give them a tremendous Yasher Koyach. The Goldberg family, Mrs. Landsberg, and everyone else that did everything to make today's possible. Thank you. I told my good chaver, Gedalia Zlotowitz, last week that if it weren't for his father and his vision, I don't think I would have been able to accomplish this. A big yesher koyach to Art Scroll, the Zlotowitz family, and I also want to thank the Schottenstein family for their sponsorship. I want to thank my wife, my children, and Baruch Hashem, I have my grandchildren here today as well. It's a big schus. The Gemara in Nida ends off with a statement from Rav Eliezer ben Azariah. He says that all the halachas in the Torah are from halachas l'Moshe Sinai. The Gemara concludes with a special advice that a person that toils in learning every single day will be given a ticket. The Rav just spoke about this great lottery ticket. The end of the Gemara here says that if a person learns every single day, he toils in it, he gets to go to Olam Haba. It's a tremendous thing. What I want to focus on the 2 minutes that I have, is that it highlights Moshe Rabbeinu. Did anyone ever wonder, how did Moshe become Moshe Rabbeinu? Did anyone know how Moshe became Moshe? Everybody here knows the story, how Moshe went down the river, he was put in the basket, and what happened in that story? Vasya went ahead, and she stretched out her hands, and she was able to bring Moshe in. That's where his name is derived from. Ask Rav Bunim a very, very simple question. Why did the Rabbeinu Shalom have to make this miracle? Why couldn't the basket just go a little bit to the right or a little bit to the left? Nobody would have known the difference. Wouldn't have been such a big deal. Rav Bunim says an unbelievable teretz. He says that this was no ordinary baby. This was the baby that was going to give over to a Torah Kula on Har Sinai. This was the baby that was eventually going to teach all of us everything. And he wanted to teach us an unbelievable lesson. That when a person runs into a situation where they have a child, where they have a Talmud, where they have a friend that becomes out of reach, do what Basya did. Reach out. Even though logic will tell you it's not possible, something miraculous will happen. The Rabbeinu Shalom will stretch your arm and bring that person in. Don't ever let anybody tell you that something is out of reach. With that lesson, we should continue davening for all the people that need refuahs and yeshuas. Habias Gael Tzedek b'mhera v'yameinu amen. Hadron Allah tinoikes v'sicha lei mesachtas nida. Mazel tov.
Mazel tov. Mechubed Rabbi Ephraim Goldberg, Morid Asra of the Boca Raton Synagogue, in the recitation of the Hadron on behalf of all the Siyum Hashas.
The conclusion of the Hadron, we say a Kaddish. While many of us consider ourselves the students of Brian, Zichron Levracha, there was no one more important to him in his whole life than his own children. And nothing gave him more pride than seeing how devoted to Torah they are. I want to call up Sender and Azi, who will honor his memory by reciting the Kaddish at the conclusion of the Hadron. Brian, how badly we wish we were doing this with you. The same is for you, our dear friend. May your neshama have an aliyah. Hadron Allah Tam Bavi Hadron Chalan Daitan Allah Tam Bavi Daita Chalan Lo Nisna Seminach Tam Bavi Lo Sishnash Minan Lo Ba'alma Hadem Lo Ba'alma Daas Hadron Allah Tam Bavi Hadron Chalan Daitan Allah Tam Bavi Daita Chalan Lo Nisna Seminach Tam Bavi Lo Sishnash Minan Lo Ba'alma Hadem Lo Ba'alma Daas Hadron Allah Tam Bavi Hadron Chalan Daitanach, Talmud Bavli, V'daitach Alan, L'nis L'shem Minach, Talmud Bavli, V'nis L'shem Minan, L'ba'am Hadim, L'ba'am Da'aseh. Yehiratzam Afanecha Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avaseinu, Shetei Soraschu, Menasenu B'olam Hazeh, Usei Manu L'olam Haba, Chanina Bar Papa, Rami Bar Papa, Nachman Bar Papa, Achai Bar Papa, Abba Mari Bar Papa, Rafram Bar Papa, Rachish Bar Papa, Surcha Bar Papa, Ada Bar Papa, Dora Bar Papa. Harav Na Adonai Eloheinu is the Reis Sorascha, Befino Fios Hamcha B'Yisrael, V'niyah Kulanu, Anachnu V'tzetzaeinu, V'tzetzaei Tzetzaeinu. V'tzetzaei Amcha Beis Yisrael, Kulanu Yodei Shmecha, V'lom Dei Sorasecha L'Shma. Me'oivaysecha Akmeni Mitzvosecha K'ilom Hili, Hi Bili Samim B'chukecha L'man Lo Evosh. La'olam lo eshkach pikudecha kivamchi yisani. Baruch atah Adonai lamdeni chukecha. Amen, amen, amen. Sela va'ed. Modem anachnu lefanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoseinu shesamta chalkeinu miyoshvei beis hamedrash v'lo samta chalkeinu miyoshvei kronos she'anu mashkimim v'hem mashkimim anu mashkimim v'divrei soda v'hem mashkimim v'dvarim b'telim. Anu amelim v'hem amelim. Anu amelim v'mekablim schar v'hem amelim v'enam mekablim schar. Anu rotzim v'hem rotzim. Anu rotzim l'chai olam haba v'hem rotzim l'bershachas shenemar v'atar l'hum doridim l'bershachas anshei damam amirma lo yechtu b'yemeihem v'ani eftach bach. Yehi ratzon l'fanecha Adonai Elohai kishem she'azartanu l'sayim Talmud Bavli came to Azernu l'haschem mesechtu svarim acherim l'saymam l'olam l'lam l'ishma l'asuz l'kayim es kol divrei salma torasecha bi'ahava. Uschus kol atanoim va'amoraim v'samidei chachamim yamod lanu l'zarenu shelo somosh hatorah mipinu pizarnu v'zera zarenu ad olam v'siskayim banu v'hisalecha tancha usach b'shachbecha tishmu v'alecha v'akitzosa hisis yichecha kiviu yibi yamecha v'yosifu lecha shnos chayim orach yamim b'imina v'smola osher v'chavod Adonai oz le'amo yitein Adonai yivarech esamo v'shalom.
Yiskadel v'yiskadesh mirabo v'yomodi u'asidis chadoso l'achai mesayo v'lasoko yason l'chai yomo v'lemivnei karta d'Yerushalayim v'l'shachlele echla b'gavo v'lemekar b'chana nuchra min aro v'lasava pochana d'ishmayer li'asrei v'yamlich kutsha brichu v'machusi v'korei v'chayechonim v'yamechonim v'chayedecho beis Yisrael v'agolov yizman kariv imru amen. Yesh mei rabo mivorach L'olam l'omei omayo Yisparach v'yishtabach v'yispar v'yisomam v'yisnasei v'yisadar v'yisalev v'yisalo Shmei dikutsho brichu Leila min kol berchaso v'shiraso Tishbechaso v'nechamaso Damiron b'yomo v'imru amen. Al Yisrael v'al Rabbanon v'al Tamideyon v'al kol Tamidei Samideyon v'al kol mon da'askin be'oraiso v'asar hodein v'dibachol asar v'yasar Yehei lahon elachon shlom rabo chino v'chista v'rachamin v'chayin arichin v'zaner revichei u'forkanami kadam avon v'ishmaya v'imru amen. Yehei shlom rabo min shemaya v'chayim oleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'imru amen. Yaseh shalom v'ramav Yaseh shalom oleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Mazel tov v'simin tov Yehilonu l'chol Yisrael Simin tov mazel tov v'simin tov Yehilonu l'chol Yisrael Simin tov mazel tov v'simin tov Yehilonu l'chol Yisrael Simin tov mazel tov v'simin tov Yehilonu l'chol Yisrael Ayin dri-da-da-la, ayin dri-da-da-la-la-la-la Dri-da-da-la, ayin dri-da-da-la-la-la
I ask everyone to please rise and join me in thanking you for your tireless commitment to teaching Torah each and every day.
We're over an extension. It's too far away.
Before we begin Haschalas Brachos, please everyone find your seats and begin the next Daf Yomi cycle. Take a moment to look to your left and your right. There is likely someone in your row or someone that you know here today who 7.5 years ago or 2,711 blot ago was inspired to begin their Daf Yomi journey. We hope that we are all inspired today to commit to daily Torah learning and begin Daf Yomi. And may this be a haskalah of bracha in our lives. We are privileged to have with us Rabbi Yisrael Edelman, Rav of Young Israel of Century Village in Deerfield Beach. Rav Edelman hosts and delivers the largest Daf Yomi shiur in North America and probably in the world. We are honored to call upon Rav Edelman for Haschalas Brachos, the beginning of the first Mishnah of Maseches Brachos.
Thank you very much. If you have the book, please turn to page 326, or the pages that are around it. You have it in different languages. You know, this year is Tafshin Pei. Tafshin Pei is an abbreviation for Torah Sheba'al Peh. So this is a year that we have to focus not just on the Siyum, but on the Haskalah. And I would offer a challenge to everybody that's here. Those of you who are learning Daf Yomi, continue. And those of you who really do not have in your mind to start Daf Yomi, I would suggest start Masechta Brachos. Except one Masechta. What will be afterwards, if your Maggid Shir does a good job, and if you're going to do a good job, you will want to continue. This is a Masechta that will surely whet your appetite. This is the first Masechta in all of Shas. Rabbeinu HaKadosh, his greatest appellation is that he was Rabbeinu, he was our teacher. And he gave us the first Mishnah, presented in a way that we should understand and see how rich Torah is and how much blessing that there is. And in fact, the Masechta is called Brachas, even though the first Mishnah speaks about Kriyas Shema, but it's brachas. To remember, learning Torah is a bracha. And as is mentioned many times, that today's Siyum is Zecher Nishmas Rabbi Dr. Galbut, whose name was Baruch. So the same bracha and the blessing should continue. The Rambam, the Pirush HaMishnayos, as he explains this Mishnah, he gives an interesting idea, and again speaks of a doctor. And he gives the mashal of a doctor, that when you go to the doctor does not just prescribe medicine to you. You don't need a doctor for that. You can Google that and find out what you should eat and what you should not do. But the doctor tells you have to have a healthy diet. If you're going to have a healthy diet, you're going to be a healthy person. So the bracha that there is in brachas is the mazon ruchni, the spiritual diet that we need to have. And in fact, the Mishnah begins with Kriyas Shema, because that's the first mitzvah that we have. As soon as the night begins, already we have the Mishnah that teaches us what we have to do. So we'll begin the Mishnah itself. Zakter Helika Mishnah. And Chazal teach us when we say a Mishnah, we have to be reminded the holiness and the Kedusha. It's not just intellectual gymnastics, but we are studying Torah because it is the Torah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Zakter Helika Mishnah me'emasai kayin neshma ba'arvin. From when do we begin reading the Kriyas Shema at night? It does not give us a time, it doesn't give us a time with the sun, it gives us a Torah time. We know that Kohanim have the opportunity to eat things that are kachim, that are holy. But in order for them to be holy, they have to be in a state of purity. They have to go to the mikveh, and they have to wait till Harav Shemesh, till the sun sets. So the same time that the Kohen can eat truma, can eat things that are holy, that's the same time that we read Kriyas Shema. It's not just about looking at the clock and telling us the time has arrived, but it's about Kedusha. And then Atseif Hashmura Harishona, until the end of the first watch. There were watches of the Beis HaMikdash, and at the end of that first watch, that coincides with the same time. So again, reminding us that when we learn Torah, when we say Kriyas Shema, we have to remember it is directly connected to the Beis HaMikdash. Divrei Rebbe Eliezer. These are the words of the great Tana Rebbe Eliezer. V'chachamim oimrim ad chatzos. The Chachamim say until midnight. Until the morning star rises. In other words, you can say Kriyas Shema at night, the entire night. Now, what's missing from this Mishnah is, how do we know you have to say Kriyas Shema? And the Gemara is going to ask that. So I hope you will be following along in the Gemara in the subsequent days when you learn Daf Yomi to find out why it is done in this fashion. Now, so the Mishnah Rabbeinu HaKadosh tells a story. We know that any great teacher, how do they keep the audience? They keep the pressure the entire time, you're going to lose them. You have to tell a story, something we can relate to. So the story is, it happened that the sons of Reb Gamliel came back from a wedding. Usually Beis HaMishnah means a wedding. Amru loy, karino Shema. And they came, they said, Tati, we didn't say Shema yet. It was very late. Amar lehem le'olam udashachar chayavim atem likros. If the morning star has not yet risen, even though we're well through the night, and you're supposed to say the Kriyas Shema b'shach b'chov kumecha, and it's at night, it's a time when more people are getting up than are going to sleep. As long as the morning star has not risen, make sure you still say Shema. And chayavim atem likros. You must read the Shema. V'loizu b'vad amru, not just with regard to this mitzvah, was this rule. Whatever Chachamim told us, that it is that you have the time limitation is till midnight. The truth of the matter is, it is until the morning star rises. And he gives a few examples. Hektar chalavim ve'evarim. If you add the leftovers of the fats of offerings or limbs of offerings that have to be burned, mitzvasan atshiyah lamud hashachar. The mitzvah is until the morning star rises. And if you have different offerings that also have time limitations, the mitzvah is actually until the morning star rises. In Cain, Lama Amra Chachamim Ad Chatzos, the famous question, then why did Chazal tell us until midnight? that a person should be distant from a sin. We know what happens. I'm going to go home, I'm going to eat supper, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, I'll say Shema later and later. And you know what happens? Before you know it, you're sleeping, and you wake up, it's already the morning. Chazal know human nature, and therefore they said, say it by midnight, to distance us from sin. So we'll just do a couple of lines of the Gemara. Tana, the Tana learned. Where are we coming from that the Mishnah says, from when do we say Kriya Shema? V'su, mashna the Tani ba'arves bereisha, listening shachas bereisha. Why does it start at night with Kriya Shema? It should start in the morning. So the Gemara answers, Tana akrakoi. The Tana is aligning it with the Mishnah, with the pasuk, where the pasuk says, at first it mentions night first, and then the morning. There's a powerful vart for Rabbi Yonasan Eibshitz. We say, Roish Dvarcha Emes, that the beginning of your words are truth. Emes is spelled Aleph, Mem, and Saf. So the first letter of the Aseres HaDibros is Anoichi, that's the letter Aleph. The first letter of the first Mishnah is Mem, Me'emasai. The first letter of the first word of Gemara is the Taf, is Tana. So we have the Roish Dvarcha Emes. When we look at the word, when it says Me'emasai Kairin, now the word Kairin is Lashon Rabim, it's in plural. So it should say Me'emasai Kaire. Why is it Kairin? So the Vilna Gaon said, why does it say Kairin? Because there are certain things that you can do mitzvahs and alidei acherim. You can have somebody make a bracha for you. You can listen to them, and you don't have to make your own bracha. When it comes to Kriya Shema, Kabbalas El Malchus Shemayim, it's Kairin. Each and every person has to do it on their own. The Tzlach has a very interesting idea, and he says, look in the first Mishnah. Who is the Tana, the first Tana that's mentioned? First Tana that's mentioned is Rebbe Eliezer. What schus did Rebbe Eliezer have that he should be the first one that's mentioned in Shas? So he brings down a medrash in Chukas. The medrash says, of Acha b'shem Reb Chanina, b'shah she'ola Moshe l'morim, shoma kodesh shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu sheyoshev v'osev b'parshas Parah Aduma. When Moshe Rabbeinu was in heaven, he heard Kutchabrichu was speaking about the halachas that are connected with the Parah Aduma. And the question on the table was, how old does the parah have to be? So the Medrash continues, Rebbe Eliezer Eimer, Egla Bashnasa Upara Bashrayim. So he said, you should know the ages are, when it says Egla, it means 1 year, a yearling, and a parah is in the second year. So Moshe Rabbeinu is there in Shemayim, and he sees the conversation. He says, Ribono Elamim, I wish that Rebbe Eliezer is going to be from my descendants. So Amru Loi, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu answers to Moshe Rabbeinu, Chayecha shehu mechalatzecha. So to say, on your life, absolutely, he is from your descendants. Ho deksiv v'shem ha'echad Eliezer. When Moshe Rabbeinu has his children, it says the name of ha'echad. So what does ha'echad mean? The first one. So therefore, the first one that is mentioned in Gemara, in the first name of the Tana, and the first Tana that's mentioned in the Mishnah is Rebbe Eliezer. But we know in the Sefer Shari Eira, he adds to that. He says there's a Gemara in Sukkah, in Chav Ches Amud Aleph, where Rebbe Eliezer says something. The question there is, to what can you attribute your longevity? He says, Me'olam le'kidmani adam bebeis hakneses. Nobody ever came before me in the Beis HaKnesses. So if no one came before him in the Beis HaKnesses, surely he deserves that he should be the first one that's mentioned in the Beis HaKnesses and the Beis HaMedrash where we are learning. There's a story of the Lev Simcha, the Gerer Rebbe, that he was at a wedding and he wanted the things to move on. It was going a little too slow. So somebody went over to him and said, Rebbe, look at the first Mishnah in Bracha. The first Mishnah in Bracha says that the children of Rabbi Gamliel came back from the wedding and it was very, very late. It means they didn't leave early. So the Lev Simcha said, no, you're not reading the Mishnah right. Rabbi Gamliel wasn't at the wedding because he left early. The sons were staying and they were dancing later on. You can leave early also, it's okay. You have to know what the right time, when you should be there, how long you should stay, and when you keep your welcome. There's a vart I heard from the Lubavitcher Rebbe on this first Mishnah, and he says another greatness in this Mishnah is mirumas, is hinted at each and every Seder of the Shisha Sedarim. The first Seder is Zeroim. And Zeroim here speaks about Truma. Kehanim nichnasim lechel b'trumasan. Moyed, which Yontef in times, is Me'emasai. What is the time for Kriyas Shema? Noshim, the Seder Noshim, Bo Bona Beis HaMishta. They came from a wedding. Here you have Noshim. Nizikin, obviously, Laharchik Asada Min Ha'avera, to distance oneself from sinning, not have any damaging. Kotchim is Hektar Chalav and Ve'evarim. We're talking about Karbonis. And Taharas, again, is the Kehanim Lechel B'Trumasan. They have to go to the mikveh first. Erev Shemesh. Things have to happen in order for that to happen. So if you look closely into the Mishnah, and I challenge you to find how many different halachas are mentioned in this Mishnah. And again, this is Rebbe. Rebbe is teaching us how do you learn. You learn by example. You learn by comparing one to another. There are at least 12 different halachas in this Mishnah. There are probably more as well. There's a story with the Balatanya. When the Balatanya was a very young man, he decided he wanted to go learn by the Maggid of Mezrich. So he came to the Mezritcher Maggid, and he was introduced to a whole new way of learning, a whole new way of davening. And the Maggid appreciated who the future Balatanya was, and he gave him as a chavrusa his son. His son was called Reb Avram the Malach, Reb Avram the angel. That is how spiritual he was. And they said, let's learn. So they opened up the Gemara, and they started. So the first thing that Reb Avram the Malach asked the Alter Rebbe, he says, read it, and he gave the pshat, and he said, Nein. Nitazeh learned min Mishnah. That's not how you read a Mishnah. Me'emasai. Why does it say Me'emasai? It should say Masai or Mi Masai. What's Me'emasai? He said, no, it means Me'emas Yud. With the fear of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Karina Shema. That's how you have to read Shema. Your closest to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is predicated on the fact that you have the Yirah Shemayim. You have the feeling in the closest to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now, if I would have been asked to speak in New Jersey, so I would have said that we're at a stadium that's MetLife Stadium. So here we have come to a stadium, and we have met life, and life is Torah. But we're not there, but we are in Sunset Cove. Sunset Cove. Ve'emasai kari neshama be'arvin. This is the real Sunset Cove. When we read Kriya Shema, that's how it has to be done. But Rabbi Shapiro mentioned that the fellow he went and he bought with his fancy watch, he bought a page of Gemara. And what was the page of Gemara? It was Brachas Daf Tes. What does Brachas Daf Tes say? And Brachas Daf Tes is the second Mishnah from this perek. And the second Mishnah is not Me'emasai Kari Neshma Ba'arvin, it's Me'emasai Kari Neshma B'Shachris. So Me'emasai Kari Neshma Ba'arvin means, when do you read Shema at night? When things are dark, when things are difficult, when we don't know where our next meal is going to come, when we don't know where our next breath of air is going to come. So here this fellow, a Holocaust survivor, had in his pocket Me'emasai Kari Neshma B'Shachris. When it is Shachar, when the sun shines, when things are good, and we have the brachas of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that's the time we have to make sure we are doing everything that we can do, and together with all of Klal Yisrael, we should be matzliach in all of our learning. Lilmoid ulalamed, lishmar velasais, to learn with ourselves and to learn with others, and ultimately we should be better people, and everything that we do should be done in a way that we should takabi the Kriya Shema v'Shachris, and we'll see the coming of Mashiach Tzidkenu. May we see that day b'mheira v'yameinu. Amen.
We're going to be starting Mincha in 30 seconds. Please stick around for the rest of the day. We have an amazing schedule. We'll be tuning in right to the live feed from the Daf Yomi at MetLife Stadium immediately following Mincha. And at 5:15 p.m. on this stage with a full band, we will have the incredible opportunity to hear Simcha Leiner. Fired Up events have begun and are going around the perimeter. Youth carnivals on the left. There's food for sale on the corners, both sides. And I want to thank all of our sponsors. I want to apologize. We accidentally left off one sponsor who was a major part of this event. I want to thank Dr. Zev and Dina Radin as well for all they do for our community and for this event. Thank you so much for coming. We're now going to daven mincha.